Welcome to tonight's meeting of the Armada Village Council. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You want to call the roll, please?
Shaw.
Here.
Clark.
Did you want me to check the counter?
Cronin.
Here.
Adair.
Here.
Garzik. Here. And Belkey and Stewart are absent.
Okay. You had a chance to review the agenda, and I get a motion.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Motion's approved. Are there any citizen comments?
Don't look forward to a short meeting.
Amen,
I'm doing my part.
Amen, brother.
And it could happen.
I know.
Okay.
Well, actually,
Chris, did you have anything?
He's gonna talk, yeah,
Unless you have questions.
yeah. He's just here for the one agenda
business.
item.
Okay. So we have no presentations tonight. Administrative reports.
I'll start out. The pump house is shingled. They had to do the tear off, and there's quite a few boards they had to replace, and they said that was a real pain in the butt to re-shingle because of the octagon shape.
Yeah.
But they did it. And then they put new vents on the
On
other structure needed.
gazebo.
Yeah, it was on the gazebo. One of them was missing, completely missing, so water was just pouring in there. And then the other two were all bent, so I had them replace all three. So I told Becky he was gonna do that too, so it might be added cost. And I did stain all the picnic tables, so they needed that bad, so, yeah, so they look good.
Give you a lot of credit. Steve or Mike went out and stained them themselves. That was pretty good.
Yeah, thanks.
Now you just need to move those two posts.
Right, I know.
So Joe can be better view.
And then I believe on the master plan with the planning commission, that they're gonna be there for this first concert with a survey with the public, for the public. And they should have a table set up, that's the plan.
The planners will be there too.
Right, the planners, yeah. So, hopefully.
I
they'll
won't be
show
there,
up.
but
I know you won't,
Dave will be there too.
that's about it.
Okay. Do you have anything, Joe? Okay. Amy,
I don't.
you're good?
Yeah, not,
No, that's a, Steve?
Speaking for Mike and Ross, we have the F&B report in your packet. So I glanced at it, everything seems like it's normal and running good.
Yeah. Flush toilets you guys today seem to be working fine. Well, that's pretty important and it does so. Okay. Moving on with our consent agenda, which includes the minutes and the payment of the bills.
I'll make a motion that we approve the bills as presented.
No.
How about the consent
The
agenda?
consent
Oh, consent agenda, I'm sorry, as presented.
Support.
Okay, you got that?
Yep,
Sean
yep.
Clark, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Motion's approved. Okay, moving on. The Birch Street catch basins.
Jeff, we have some questions for you.
Sure.
Normally, we'd like to get a couple more quotes for this type of a project, but everything kind of got going kind of late. It was brought to our attention late. And in the ordinance here, I just want to kind of read this to you and see if you think that this
It's a
would be.
purchasing ordinance.
It would be like an exception?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, so what it says here, purchases exceeding $10,000 may be authorized by the village council after one of the following competitive purchasing procedures have been completed. Competitive bids or proposals shall not be required with respect to the following purchases unless otherwise required by law. And then I go down to the bottom here and it says purchases where the village council determines a 5/7 vote that's based on time constraints, availability of contractors, vendors or professionals, or cost considerations, and so on. So my part here is time constraints because, you know, our project is going to be starting fairly soon. We don't have a date yet. And availability of contractors because we didn't even know really who to contact at this point. I'm wondering if I can still see if I can get it approved tonight based on this.
So it is a subjective provision, and the council has to collectively, and it's a 5/7 vote, so it's a supermajority of council, has to determine basically that they agree that, it sounds like you have two basis. One obviously is timing. We have to get those catch basins in before, I forget the name of the contractor that's coming and doing the road project, but that's coming up fairly quickly. I'd have to rely probably on Michelle to say how long start to finish, but I mean, to put together a bid, especially if we had to bring in Rowe to do that, that's gonna take a while.
Yeah.
How long? I would say probably you're looking at 30 days minimum. They could probably throw it together quicker, but then, you know, are you gonna get, if you rush, are you gonna get competitive bids anyways? The other factor that I would note is that road contractors are really in the midst, I mean, they've let all their contracts, and I know this isn't a road contracting bid, but I will say that this is not an ideal time to go to the market for road or infrastructure, because that really happens in the winter. They load up. Could we still do it? Sure, you can try it. I'm just trying to say, you know, are you gonna get multiple bids? Are they gonna be competitive? It's really hard to say.
That's when we get bids that are high because we really don't have the time.
They don't have the time, and they'll do it if you
But
pay
if
them
you're gonna
enough.
pay me enough.
Now, again, granted, this is
Yeah.
2 catch basins, but nonetheless, the market is not ideal. This is not a great time. You're right at the start. People are out there already. So, again, depending on when you're gonna start your road project, I think you can, you know, council believes that it's in your best interest to get this work done and not take a chance of having it hold up a very important community project. That's where you're at. So,
Okay.
so it's time constraints, and then there was one other factor you cited. Oh, quantity of bidders. So I think I addressed both of those.
Yes.
And really, again, we just, if council has any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. But that is an exception. I would modify my motion to say to waive the competitive bidding process in accordance with the section that you have there, and then read on from there.
Okay, bear with me. To waive the competitive
Bidding process as provided in village code section, and then whatever one you're relying on. And then just go carry on from there.
Okay, now I gotta figure out what section. This is
Yeah.
ordinance 143.
If you just have a section number.
Ordinance number 143 is,
Well, no, it's the section that
It's
has
the
the
section of the
exceptions.
ordinance. What you have highlighted.
Yeah, but I-
When we get our budget, I get it.
Oh, section 7-2.
rules and procedures for purchase of village property, contractual services,
So section
just have-
7-2.
7-2.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay. All right, are we ready?
Sure.
Okay, I move to, well, first of all, I move to waive the competitive bidding process as provided in the village code section 7-2 to approve the bid from
Telco.
Telco contract.
Yeah.
Telto Contracting in the amount of $16,975.00 to replace 2 catch basins on Burke Street and allow the street administrator to sign on behalf of the village. This will require a budget amendment from the general fund to the municipal street fund.
Okay, so it's to waive the competitive bid process, what was the rest of it?
As provided
for.
in Village Code Section 7-2.
I'll support that.
Village Code, Section 7-2?
Yep.
We'll need a roll call on
Yeah.
that.
Hang on, I'm not ready. Marzak,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Adair,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Conan.
Yes. Okay. Motion's
You got
approved.
5, Michelle?
You got 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, there you go, Amy.
Thank you so
Get
much.
that, you can get that done. Okay, moving on, code enforcement. Steve, I think you want to talk on this?
Yeah, I talked about it at the last meeting. Asked anybody if they had any more thoughts on what they thought about removing the 10-day notice in the letter and maybe going to actually have the code enforcer go up on the porch, knock on the door, and if nobody's there, leave a door hanger or something for him to be contacted. Along with this, if we do change this, Jeff, do we have to change our ordinance?
Yeah, I reviewed, I did review it, Steve, and with regard to the snow, our notice provision is essentially the way it's supposed to work. And you guys are familiar, depending on when the snow stops falling, you either have 12 hours or till 9 o'clock the next day.
Yeah.
And so essentially, the way it's supposed to work is, assuming someone does not meet that time limitation, the village can issue a municipal civil infraction. So a municipal civil infraction is a ticket. It's not a criminal offense. It's a civil infraction that carries a fine with it. That is supposed to be given to the owner or occupant of the properties, and that they have 24 hours to receive that ticket to then clear the snow. So essentially, they have as much as 36 hours to clear the snow. 24 for the ticket, and then roughly 12 hours from when the snow stopped. So after the ticket's issued, they then can remove the snow. I imagine that once, if it's property's checked and they have cleared within 24 hours, they probably forgive the ticket. They don't file it with the court, and it's done because it's had its intended effect.
Who issues this ticket? The code?
It could be code, it could be the code enforcement, or police officers can do it. Even if it's just the civil, police officers under our code are authorized to do it. So that's how it's supposed to work, Steve. I did talk to Becky, and essentially they have been defaulting to the 10-day notice. And she said historically, and this has been my experience in other communities, these types of snow tends, like the first snow you get, like 30% of the people don't comply, and then the next snow it gets better and better, and by giving out the notices. So Becky said generally she's gotten a pretty good response with the 10-day notice, but that's a long time.
Yes, it is.
Usually melts.
Yeah, the goal is to get
Well,
that.
that's the problem, is like this year, we would get snow,
It would melt with it.
and then it would melt, or it would
Right.
snow immediately after, yeah.
So what communities that I've dealt with, they generally, they're not as generous. So generally what will happen is if the property is observed to not have cleared the snow within the time limits, they'll get a door hanger, and that gives them 24 hours, and then either a contractor, or if a contractor will clear it on behalf of the village or the city, or they'll use DPW typically will clear it. For the village, and I will say this, it's going to be hard to get a contractor to do the work.
No, we'd have to have our guys. So
Yeah,
sure.
because they want volume,
Yeah.
and having them wait 24 hours to see if someone clears it, there's no money in it for them. If you've ever worked with, seen a landscaper, they're going like this during snowstorms. They're not going to wait 24 hours to see. So I wanted to bring that up because again, that would be up to your
Okay, so essentially, we've kind of been doing it don't want to say wrong, we haven't even been following our own ordinance.
Yes,
And we've been doing the 10-day letter
Right.
thing.
Right, so to answer your question that you asked me, we could issue the municipal civil infraction and use that kind of as the, hey, get your snow removed.
Right.
And that, you're talking about 36 hours there, that's not ideal, but to be honest, it's not horrible because you gotta go out and view these properties.
Right.
That takes manpower. So I don't think 36 hours is horrible.
Well, it's a lot better than the
Yeah.
10 plus mailing it
Correct.
and everything else.
Correct, so if we went that route, and I would encourage you, we'd have to talk to Chief Meyerly and make sure that he understands, what would be asked of him if he's gonna issue the tickets.
And our code
Or
inspector,
our code
Tom
inspector could do
Irvin.
it. Tom could do it. But the key then is just getting that ticket issued. That's your warning, you have 24 hours, and then if you don't, Dave Wagner's team would have to go out and clear the snow. So that would not require an ordinance amendment.
Okay.
If we were gonna.
Well, that's really what we're looking for is,
Yeah, I mean,
you
the information is there and we weren't using it, really.
Yeah, so,
have you talked to Tom at all?
Not lately.
Yeah.
Well, what happened, like Michelle said, it snows, you're waiting your 10 days, and then on day 9, it snows like hell again, and now you got more snow.
Well, you're gonna issue these tickets, you'll have each one of these
Yeah, but you're not
tickets.
gonna issue a ticket until it's 10 days.
No.
yeah, no, that would,
No.
yeah, we'd have to.
You'd have to do it, I think you'd have to do it 12 hours after the, or 24.
Correct.
I don't remember.
Okay.
You know, like 24 hours later, I think
Yeah.
you do
Yeah.
it. and-
Well, that sounds better, and I guess we need to talk to the chief and the code enforcer to see if they
See if,
don't have any problems with this.
And the DPW,
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
they're
right.
busy when
Right.
the snow falls,
Right.
you
No.
know?
yeah, but DPW can't issue,
No,
No, they
but
can't.
would be doing
Well,
the work.
remove
You
I
know-
mean, it'd be very nice if we had a group of, I don't know, Boy Scouts or whatever that could do some stuff too,
Right.
but that's a whole other matter.
Well,
Yeah.
the other thing, and especially because we would be going from 10 full days of waiting to literally as, 36 hours, you could have somebody, removing the snow.
Yeah,
I would say in, roughly around Thanksgiving, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, you should do a letter of some type in a water bill or things
Mhm.
like that saying, here are the requirements under the ordinance, this will
Okay.
be enforced. Because again, what happens is people don't pay attention to that first snowfall. And then,
Yeah.
if you get a good piece in the water bill and say, hey, this is how we're gonna enforce it, you're gonna probably get people's attention and it's gonna happen.
and does that kind of go along with some other communities that you know of? I mean, that time limit that we already have in there?
Yeah, larger cities that are geographically spread out, I'm just gonna be honest with you, even it's hard to cover
Mhm.
that many lots. So I'll be very honest with you, in larger cities, many times it's complaint based. Hey, my neighbor hasn't, shoveled their snow and I'm tired of either, walking
Yeah.
through it and you guys will get those. There's no doubt. Once you put that letter in the mailer, you're gonna have people calling saying, hey, I thought you were gonna do this. Steve Clark hasn't, shoveled his snow yet, So
Okay.
So it can be complaint based. I think that my experience has been that you gotta be on it the first snowfall and it'll get better.
Yeah, okay.
People tend to learn. Now keep in mind, I didn't bring this up, but you can charge for, that's in my notes in preparation for the meeting, you need to come up with a fee that will, and we've done this before, Michelle and I have worked on these fees. What does it cost Dave Wagner to remove the snow? And that you're gonna have to adopt a resolution that says this will be the fee
Yeah.
when Dave Wagner comes out, because
It's like
you have
mowing the
to,
grass.
yeah,
Yeah.
Do they have to pay for the ticket also, or just,
that's a
Dave,
good question.
He said
Right.
if they comply, that they will usually just.
right,
give them
and
the
I'm
ticket.
okay with that too,
Right.
but if they don't, do they have to pay the ticket and then have to pay to have the, which I think they should.
It is odd. I think what I would say is the civil infraction is really, you didn't do it in the time you should have. So there's still a violation of the ordinance. Then the village had to go out and clear it for public health and safety reasons. We gotta get the snow off the sidewalk. So yes, you could do both. Do you have to do both? No, you know, that's,
Who do they pay the civil infraction to?
the court.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
through the
yeah,
court
yeah,
still?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
The
but
goal
again,
is not
the
to
goal
get-
is not, let me take you back to when we did this back 20, I don't know, maybe it wasn't 20 years, probably about 17 years ago when we last looked at snow. There was a strong sense on council that we didn't want to be hammering people.
Right.
Senior citizens, other circumstances where people could not do it. And so you can see with these notices, council was pretty generous, and that's okay, that doesn't, but you also have other people who walk, jog, recreate, want to get out, school, kids trying to get to school. So I'm trying to say it's a balance. You gotta say,
Yeah.
all right, you know, hey, we gave you a pass the last time, we didn't file the ticket, but this is your third offense, you're doing both, you know, and that's, you can do that. Like I said, Becky said generally it's worse at the start and it gets better, which has been my experience. And most people, even with the 10 days, she says they get better, but 10 days, again, that's not getting the snow cleared.
Right.
So,
Well, again, if you would think about this for a while and come up with a good letter for us
Sure.
to give our citizens on how we'd handle this thing legally.
yeah,
And,
I just think the communication is the key.
Again, we do have to get this situation
Right.
taken care of. We've even had a couple merchants that were so derelict that
Yeah.
it's unbelievable that they would be, but
I think the way it works, Dave, is there's a silent majority out there who regularly remove their snow, and they're not gonna call you and say, thank you, you know, for getting that person to do it.
No.
They're just, you know, but the ones we hear from are the people who have a million excuses why they didn't clear it, you know, we react to them. We don't always react to the person that's tired of their neighbor not removing snow because their kid can't get to school, or, you know, so I think what I'm trying to say is the large majority of residents want the snow removed within a reasonable period of time.
I've had some talk to me about
Yeah,
it.
of course, and businesses, for liability reasons, you want to get that snow off the downtown sidewalk. So, yes, I will be happy to help. But I think, Steve, you know, the next step would be to talk to Chief Meyerly, make sure, you know, see what Dave Wagner's capacity is, recognizing, like every other community, DPW first and foremost is gonna try to get the roads done. That's
Well,
just
yeah.
the way it is. So, you know, realistically, will you get to those sidewalks quickly? You know, I think Dave, from what I've heard, I think Dave gets the snow removed fairly quickly from the streets.
Yeah.
What that time window looks like, then add on to, okay, who's gonna go out and, you know, probably the key to this is who's gonna go out and look at what sidewalks. You're gonna get complaints. Once that letter goes out to residents, somebody's gonna start calling. You have to be ready for that. Who's gonna take that call, who's gonna go inspect it, and who's gonna issue a ticket so that they get it cleared within 24 hours. So those are all the moving parts that you have to.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think with the letter, as long as it's very clear that it's straight across the board, no exceptions, everybody's sidewalk has to be cleared. If you can't clear it yourself,
Right.
you know, make arrangements that, I don't
Right.
shovel mine, I hire a kid from high school and he did a
Sure.
really great job. He was there every snowfall and
Yep.
worked out fine, so.
I thought
You know-
that when we talked about changing this ordinance, that it wasn't just including snow.
No, when you,
No,
It's
Yeah,
high
include
grass,
grass,
it's weeds,
whites,
it's blight,
Yeah, but he-
cars parked on the
you
front
know, what Jeff's
lawns.
saying right now is, at least with the snow, our ordinance covers it. We just started doing a good job with our ordinance.
it's the other
But
stuff.
we have to enforce the
Yeah.
other stuff
Yeah.
as well.
Right, well,
But that's a code enforcement.
that's what I
discussion
thought,
with the
maybe
code
when you
enforcement.
get home get back from vacation,
I'll call Tom.
why don't you and I meet with Tom? Have him come in here, and I'll come to the meeting too,
Let Joe go on vacation.
maybe.
eventually.
And we'll talk to Tom. He supposedly has moved closer to, he was moving over on Omo Road, he told me. And make sure he wants to do this code enforcement. Because we've had some other areas where we dropped the ball on a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay,
thank you, everyone. Thanks, Jeff.
yeah.
Good to bring it up early.
And Steve, I want you to know.
Well, the
that
weeds are out, the weeds and grass are out.
Grass.
Yeah, weeds and grass are out.
I'm glad you took over for Ross tonight.
Yeah, I did kind of go, I know I don't talk much, I'm
It
sorry.
wasn't you, trust me, it wasn't you. We all know who.
Ross will be glad to know that he's missed. Okay, let's go to the 2025 tax rates and warrants.
Every year.
I think that may be Ann, and that this is a yearly thing.
Right. The only thing is on your cover sheet, Michelle's got it broken out, the warrants, one for real property and one for personal. We have combined them now, so there's only one. And I have the tax rate request. I've already sent that in to the lady at the equalization department to make sure that all of our numbers are good before we submit it. And she said we finally have it right. so-
The motions are right,
Yeah.
it's just what I wrote.
Yeah. So, we are ready. I have the, Kylie, the assessor, has given me her tax roll. So we are ready to start getting those bills ready to go out July 1st.
Ready for motions.
We're ready for motions.
I'll move to approve the millage rate be levied by the treasurer for tax year 2025 for operating the general fund be levied at a reduced rate of 8.4791 mils in compliance with the Headley 2025 reduction factor of 1.00 section MCL 211.34D.
Support.
Can we do this on a, we need,
I usually do a roll.
okay, we'll have a roll call on this, go ahead.
Clark,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Conan,
Yes?
Adair,
Yes.
Garzik.
Yes.
Okay,
I'll do the second one.
yes, go ahead, Joe.
Resolved to approve the millage rate to be levied by the treasurer for tax year 2025 for operating the municipal street fund be levied at the reduced rate of 3.3913 mil in compliance with the Headley 2025 reduction factor of 1.0000, section MCL 211.34D.
Support.
Adair. Yes. Shaw,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Garzik.
Yes.
I have you marked as absent, sorry. And Conan.
Yes. Okay, motions are passed.
There's another place.
Yeah, we got two more here.
I'll move to resolve to approve the millage rate to be levied by the treasurer for tax year 2025, Public Act 33 special assessment be levied at the rate of 1.7500.
Support.
Clark,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Garzik,
Yes.
Adair,
Yes.
Conan.
Yes. Joe, your turn.
I would resolve
No.
to. Did you see that?
We
No,
don't-
no, I did,
No, we
I
got
forgot
that
that there was another one, sorry.
Go ahead, Joe.
Resolved to authorize the clerk, president, and treasurer to sign all warrants and forms related to the 2025 tax roll.
Support.
This doesn't.
Yeah, all in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Motion's approved. Okay. Now, appointment to the single waste hauler committee. And maybe our township supervisor, Chris Crotchy, can give us a little update what this is about?
So the goal is I know this has been, for years, it's been a difficulty. I know there's been lots of things that stopped it, but that's in the past. So one of the things when I got elected, I thought about doing, I talked to several people about it, is working together with the village, in an intergovernmental agreement, and to go out for an RFP for a single waste hauler. And the benefits of that are just multiple layers. One is the wear and tear on the roads. Instead of having 4 or 5 trash companies come on different days of the week, it reduces it to one company, one day of the week. So it reduces that cost from one company. The other thing is the benefit out of that is Tuesdays, the Jones don't have trash out, and Wednesdays, the Smiths don't have trash out. And so it's one day of the week where the trash is out, so for monitoring purposes, code enforcement, as you mentioned, if the trash is out too long afterwards, you know that, because that's a Tuesday, and that's a Wednesday day. So it's the wear and the tear on the roads, it's a single hauler, it's one day. And that should significantly reduce the cost, because instead of, one individual doing a contract, it's 1,900 homes that can go into that as a bulk thing. One of the other benefits is, you move on to that, from the township and the village side, is we can include the dumpsters and the transfer site in that bid, and hopefully greatly reducing those costs. And then the third option is, it gives us the ability to have some more flexible thing. My understanding in the village, no one can get any waste, yard waste, because the company's not gonna do 2 on this block and none on that block. So going to a single hauler, each individual resident will have the ability to add that. The goal of this also is, there's 2 ways we can do it. We can just go out for a SAD and say, everybody's in and you gotta do it, and then, they destroy us. Or we can make it that each individual resident can decide if they wanna opt in, opt out. It's a 1-year obligation, and that way it's easier, and it still gives that freedom if they wanna use a jump in or not. But grouping together will greatly reduce the costs in so many different ways.
Would you be getting bids from all the different?
We'll go out for an action RFP. We'll put a whole RFP together. It'll go in BidNet, and it'll be a competitive bid process.
Okay.
And we'll work with the village and the township to come up with that language. I think we already have some stuff that's easy, just kind of reconstitute, and work together and go out for an RFP. When the bids come in, the committee will sit down and go through it, present it to each of our boards, and go from there.
Steve and Michelle and I met with Chris and Monica Job and the deputy supervisor Lori. We just had a meeting on this, and they're setting up a committee. And I had asked Michelle if she would serve on that committee, and she said she would. And I'd like to get a motion, so that she could be our appointed representative to the committee.
Okay, I'll move to appoint the village clerk.
Right?
Oh, you want 2 people?
2.
Well,
Okay,
heck.
right now, we're only, okay.
That's you, buddy.
Yeah, put me on.
Put Ross on it, he's not here.
No,
I quit.
Ross has got a lot of things on his plate. I wouldn't do that to him.
Kidding.
Although they once did that to me when I was on vacation.
Actually, I think
Sure.
Michelle and I should do it, because we went through this whole thing a couple
Yeah.
of years ago.
Okay,
So
well,
we're familiar with
that'd be
Mike
great.
was on it last time, but he just said no. So-
Well, he didn't say no
I didn't
at
say
all.
no.
No,
So I would go with Joe and Michelle then.
Okay,
So change that motion.
just say trustee Joe Adair.
Yeah. And you can't abstain, you gotta vote on this, so can I have a motion
Sure,
here?
I'll
Let's get it done.
move to appoint village clerk Michelle Polis and trustee Joe Adair to the single waste hauler joint committee between the village and the township.
Support.
Mike, I thought for sure you'd jump on that
Yeah.
motion.
Hey, I was volunteering for it, thank you, Joe.
Well, we've already been through it.
No, thank you. So you can bring a little insight. Anyhow, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Motion's approved. So, upcoming agenda items. We don't have anything right now that we're gonna put on?
Some budget amendments.
Well, there'll be some things coming up, budget amendments. Ross may have something to do
Oh,
with
I'm
you
sure
on. Citizens comment? I've never seen you so quiet. I
Well,
love this.
so-
That was your fault.
Could I just ask a
shouldn't have
question on the
asked you.
snow? So I think you absolutely have to not only deliver the ticket, but the cost, because it was up to me and you're gonna shovel my walk and just send me a bill, I'm all in, right? So then our DPW would be shoveling 40, 80, 90 walks.
Well, the
So,
thing
I
of
mean,
it
They're
is,
they are charged for
They-
Yeah, I agree, but I
that's
mean,
not
even,
gonna be having a
It-
school kid do
yeah,
it.
it's not gonna be $5, it's gonna be 50 or 60, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So,
All right,
I don't
I
know
just-
that
I
you,
just-
but if
yeah.
you wanna pay that much, you could be.
I'm just
in
thinking
it.
you get much better compliance. if
Oh,
you
no doubt.
Come with the hot stove right away and.
That's why we got him put that together.
All right, that's good.
But thank you. Any other citizen comments, or do you have more?
Just one
Yeah.
question for Chris, how long do you think it's gonna take to figure out this trash thing?
I'm
Before we
hoping
actually have a
I'm hoping
contractor
within-
that accepts a bid and we can,
within 30 to 60 days, go out for an RFP,
yeah.
and then probably have a 30-day process from that, just for it to get out there and get
It's like
something and get back.
fall before we
Fall,
send
yeah,
out
realistically.
letters and
Yeah.
say, you gotta sign up.
What I don't want to do is rush through it. I can
Yeah,
hit the
yeah.
ground running really hard,
Yeah.
but I want to give it the time
Heaven,
to.
heaven forbid we do anything fast.
I want to. Well, I just want a
I
lot
wanna
of
be
input.
accurate.
I'm joking, of
Yeah.
course, I agree. You gotta be thorough, but I'm just sort of thinking, it's, yeah, the
I want to
fall
be
time would
efficient as
be
I can.
good,
So,
yeah, yeah. Cause it's leaf time and all
We
that.
gotta save our new streets.
Yeah,
As a
yeah,
total selfish
yeah.
thing, our budgetary process starts in January, and have that in place well before. that.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, are there any other,
Thanks.
citizen comments? Okay, moving on, are there any council comments?
Concerts in the park start Wednesday.
That comes under community events.
That's okay.
He's a council member.
2 days from now?
Yes.
Yeah. It's pretty good. I think we got, don't we have some handouts?
Oh, there might be by
Yes,
the
there
front
should be
door.
right in the front
I
door.
think we got some in there. This week is the Swing
Swing
Shift Orchestra. And, but they come with about 25
Yeah,
people,
there's
so
like 25
they have a
people.
lot of people.
Yeah, it's a nice venue.
It's impressive.
But
Yeah, it really is. They do a nice job.
I don't know if we should add a week to it or change one of these bands. But, I'm kind of missing the Soggy Bottom Boys.
Well, if somebody cancels, then we'll get Ann as our lead singer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, wait.
First and only time. you're-
Are there any other community events besides concerts in the park? Well, we have no closed session tonight, so I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at 7:37 PM.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.